Just so we're clear, I am not attacking the entirety of the fan base, but rather a certain group of dickheads that give this fan base a bad reputation. So Insomniac's Spider-Man is about to have a remastered version for the PlayStation 5, in which should be released in conjunction to Spider-Man Miles Morales. But despite of some of the upgrades that this version of the game has demonstrated thus far, there is a certain bit of controversy that has sparked among the community. And by controversy, I'm referring to the new face model for Peter Parker, in which it sparked an uproar amongst fans for a multitude of reasons. Now me personally, I am not a huge fan of the new face model for Peter Parker, not just because that he resembles Tom Holland, which isn't really my problem with it in the first place. My main gripes with this change is that for one, this version of Peter Parker looks considerably younger than Miles Morales, and two, I don't feel like it really matches Yuri's voice. And while I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of the old face either, because it looks a bit wonky in certain angles, at the very least when I look at this version of Peter Parker, I do feel like it does fit with Yuri's portrayal of the character. Now, I am fully aware that there are many of different fractions within the community who do appreciate the new design for Peter Parker, and the way I see it, I don't think there is necessarily a right or wrong opinion on the subject. And at the end of the day, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. However, what I seriously don't tolerate is the amount of harassment that Insomniac has been bombarded with. Just because of that significant change that they just feel the need to just completely harass the staff, employees, and anyone that's even associated with this remastered version. And there's that certain fraction of the community that would go through such lengths just to hound Insomniac or just for one change, and the way they're going about it, I'm not even going to sugarcoat, it's fucking disgusting. Let's put this into perspective. The people at Insomniac are as big of fans of Spider-Man as the rest of us, and they put so much time, effort and passion into Spider-Man, both for the original version as well as this remastered version for the PS5. Now, I may not know much about what goes into the production of each game, but what I am aware is the fact that it does take so much time, to the point where a lot of them have to do overtime just to make sure that the game is polished. And what do they get in return from all of this? Oh, they just get harassed for days on end with a bunch of death threats, as well as crazy fans going so far as to look up developers and finding their own Facebooks, flat out attacking anyone who are even associated with said developers. Even going so far as to attacking the children of said developers and calling them retards. And may I remind you that the only reason on why Insomniac and the developers are getting so much torment is just because of one simple change from a game that they've made. And since this certain group of fans are so toxic and brain dead, I have to spell out that this is not acceptable by any stretch of the imagination. And you want to know the worst part of all of this? It's the fact that this isn't even the first time Insomniac have been suffering from such harassment and torment. As almost 2 years ago at this point, Insomniac were getting death threats just because they didn't have the Raimi suit available. Even though Insomniac had to go through many loopholes just to even include this as DLC. And they even went at it again with the Amazing Spider-Man costume and released it for the PS5 release. They didn't have to go through so many legal loopholes just to get this suit available for the PS5 exclusive, but they done it anyway because they clearly care. And I was initially going to make a video on the Raimi suit and how toxic the fanbase were back then, but at the time I went against it because there were plenty of supporters of Insomniac defending them from certain assholes who kept on harassing them. Plus by the time they actually released the Raimi suit, it did seem like it kind of fizzled out. But after the newest controversy, I am not biting my tongue this time because it is clear to me that the Insomniac Spider-Man fanbase, or rather like the toxic fraction of said fanbase, just beyond fucking scum. They are so bad that even the Raimi Knight and the MCU stans pale in comparison. They've been doing the same shit time after time again and they just won't stop hounding Insomniac. They will find the smallest things to bitch about, even when it came down to Miles Morales having his own game, which, to be fair, I don't think there was really that much of an outcry in that regard. But there were also plenty of people who were demanding the definitive sequel to Spider-Man. And don't even get me started on the fucking puddles, because I don't even know why that was even a controversy to begin with. In the end though, not only do my sympathy lean towards those at Insomniac who keep suffering from such abuse, but I also feel sorry for the actual fans of the Insomniac Spider-Man universe that are just genuinely passionate, but are also reasonable fans as well, because it's always that one toxic fraction that give them a bad reputation, and it's really unfair. As for the dickheads who keep harassing Insomniac and everything they touch, well, there's nothing more I can really say aside from the fact that you lot are fucking lowlives. And the fact that you lot decide to just attack certain developers all just because of a game just tells me an awful lot about you, and the fact that you guys are just the absolute worst. And again, I'm not talking about the majority of fans, but the toxic ones that are the most vocal and disgusting. So to close off this video on a somewhat brighter note and open a civil discussion, or so I would hope, what are your personal thoughts on the new face model for Peter Parker for the Spider-Man PS5 remaster? Are you welcoming of the new change, or do you think that the previous model just fit Yuri's voice all the better? Comment below and share some thoughts. And as always, thank you guys for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. Take care and have a good one.